Those beautiful and dreamy sails in the Bahamas are behind us. We are back in blue water between the Bahamas and Florida.
It's a bumpy ride, plenty of wind. I hope you're enjoying it. This is full contact sailing today. Sparky at the helm for the moment, taking a short break, and I'll be right back at it. This is a day that I need to steer. That way I can anticipate what the waves are doing and feel at what wind direction, feel at which direction for the boat the wind is optimal and the waves are optimal at that moment. Wind meanders, the waves are coming from two directions. Bit of a confused sea here, but making good progress, and we've hit 9.6. That's been our biggest number, doing a little surfing. 8.8 has been pretty regular. We're at 8.5 right now. I just saw some flying fish, and while I've seen them on TV, seeing them in real life is really special. It's really amazing. They're wild, flying 100 feet at a time, just a few inches above the water. They just skip right along.
I had a great weather window with the winds coming from the south one way or another, and that really kept me on my toes. The waves were big, the winds were strong, and staying on my toes meant I was going to be leaning on my right leg most of the day for about 11 hours, which would make my right ankle swell up to the size of a tennis ball. When I got a break in the waves and the wind, I did hustle up to try to take care of the sails and clean up my act a bit.
The helm feels pretty light and balanced. If I could stay right around 270 degrees. That just where she feels like she's in a good groove in these waters with this wind and the sails trimmed the way they are. And the sails are not perfect, but they're close enough. We have entered the Gulf Stream, and so the waves have flattened out a little bit. The seas are not as confused, and so we are now, instead of heading 270 degrees, we're headed down around 260 because the Gulf Stream is going to push us to 288. So that's what we're doing right now, and a much more comfortable ride. We're not doing 8 anymore, just a little bit below, 7.6, 7.5. It looks like we'll be going into Port St. Lucie. We're on that tack, and the seas are pushing us that way, the seas and the wind. And so we'll take the southern route. We've been taking the southern route instead of going north to Fort Pierce. So this is nice. This is better. We're on a slight beat going into the wind a little bit. The wind is clocked around instead of from the southeast, now coming from the south-southwest. And it's okay. about halfway between Florida and the Bahamas right here. We've been in the Gulf Stream for about 30 minutes. Any smoother than this would be downright creamy.
The Gulf Stream current just seemed to tell the waves to settle down and all head in the same direction, creating a much smoother ride.
I just have the wheel locked off right now. This baby's on rails. Of course, as soon as I say that, I get a little bit of weather help. Right around 250, I've got it balanced. And we're doing 8 knots. The sail flutter is an embarrassment, but I'm not going to mess with it. Too much is going right. We are really heeled over. How much? Good thing I've got a head on each side of the boat. Yeah. Excuse me. This place is a mess. A few things were loose. And I should have secured them more, but ended up being a bumpier ride than I expected. I need a treat. Excuse me. Ginger snaps. Waves have turned dirty again outside of the Gulf Stream.
Being a bit lax on safety, walking along the deck was a lot easier in the Bahamas, but I had no such latitude out in the ocean. I was strapping in.
Dirtier waves closer to the Florida coastline. Can't quite make it out yet, but we're outside of the Gulf Stream, and so the seas are a little bit more confused.
We are getting down to the final stages of this chapter of the journey, which started way back with me just getting to know the boat on the Great Lakes. As I prepared the boat to clear the piers at St. Lucie Inlet, I thought about how many times I had cleared the piers in my own harbor. While the learning curve was pretty steep initially, as I tried to solo sail this Catalina 42, it didn't take long for me to get used to all of its nuances so that I could do just about anything I needed to from the cockpit. And with the locks of the Erie Canal behind me, I could focus just on sailing the boat. But there were plenty of days I couldn't get out into the ocean, or the inlets were too far apart for a solo sailor. So I found myself in the intercoastal waterway plenty, which was also enjoyable. The journey had given me plenty of opportunities for coastal cruising as a solo sailor, and when my weather window came and I was allowed to cross over to West End, Bahamas, I really enjoyed meeting the people. With very little sleep, a weather window that was closing, and a sun that was setting, I was glad to clear the piers at St. Lucie Inlet. I appreciate the company of the crew who gave me someone to talk to on this journey, and this isn't the end at all. We are just going to dodge hurricane season and give ourselves a fresh start. The next chapter isn't too far ahead. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.